What is going on, everybody? It is Frank the Tank, and welcome to my review of the Sunstorm. Now, I know, Frank doing another ball review on a ball that has been discontinued a long time ago.
Well, so what?
So some of you are probably wondering, why am I sitting in the dark? Well, I'll be honest, I would turn on the lights for you guys, but the thing is even if I turn on the lights and I dim them down to its lowest setting, you're going to get this really horrible bright ray of light shining in this angle. And yeah, I don't want that because, you know, bad lighting throughout the video. I just don't want that to happen. And the last thing I want is for you guys to have watched a video like that and then you guys end up like this. So yeah, that's why I'm sitting in the dark, but that's okay because, well, I think this is just fine the way it is. I mean, no bright lights of any kind and the lighting looks just fine anyways. So why have I waited until now to do a ball review on the Sunstorm? Well, allow me to give you the timeline, basically from beginning to end. So way back in the beginning of October in 2022, is when I first saw the Sunstorm on Storm's page, you know, where they have all their bowling balls. And I remember I posted about it on Instagram and on Facebook. And I remember upon first glance of this ball, I thought it had a very retro look to it. And then I noticed that it said limited edition. So I thought, oh, okay, well, this must be an old ball that they're bringing back. And this is obviously got to be like some sort of situation, kind of like what they did with the Marvel Pearl, where they had it, discontinued it, people loved it so much, so several years later they brought it back for a limited time. So I thought this was one of those situations. And then I looked at the specs and I saw that it had 4K fast, it had spec solid reactive, which we hadn't seen since the Crux Prime Pro Motion and Gravity Evolve, I think. And also it had the same centripetal core as the IQ Tour Edition and the same RG and differential number. So that's when I immediately thought, oh, okay, this is basically the IQ Tour Edition in disguise with a different name and a different cover and a different finish. So that's when I immediately thought to myself, this is going to be an interesting combination right here. Spec along with basically everything that the IQ Tour Edition has. Same core, all that stuff, like I said. And that's when I waited for the videos to come out to see exactly how this ball was going to react now that it had spec instead of R2S. And once I saw the overall reaction of this ball, I was like, I don't like it. So I decided to steer clear of this ball because I noticed that it didn't have a lot of reaction. It looked like it struggled to grab at the lane, and it just, you know, it looked like it got further down the lane, and I thought this might be a ball that I might struggle to, you know, match up with. So yeah, I just decided to steer clear of this ball. And then the other thing that led to me being like, nope, not getting this ball was the price point. People who managed to obtain this ball were pricing them at $200 plus, $220, $230. The worst I've seen was almost $300. So I was like, yeah, this ball is definitely not for me. I mean, it looks cool, but in the end, what really matters is how good am I able to match up with this ball? How's the reaction? How does it roll? Is it good enough for me? I don't know. But yeah, after all of that put together, I decided this ball is not for me. Now, I want to say maybe a month or two after that, my friend Ivan managed to obtain one of these Sunstorms. And I asked him, let me know what you think of it. Let me know what you see. And then after he threw the ball himself, he told me what he thought about it. And overall, he came to the conclusion that this ball, because of the cover that's on it and how it was rolling, that he felt like this almost kind of needs to be played like if it was a urethane ball. And that's what really got my attention. But then it still wasn't enough for me to actually get the ball, but it definitely got my attention. And then sometime much later after that is when, and keep in mind, I didn't know anything about the spec solid cover stock because, you know, I was one of those people who was more focused on the ball itself rather than the cover and what it does to the ball. And, you know, because that's for those of you who are new to this stuff, you need to you need to pay close attention to the cover. So that way it'll give you an idea of how you need to play the ball when you have it. So at the time I hated spec. I'll be honest. I didn't like it on the Pro Motion. I didn't like it on the Crux Prime, and I didn't like it on the Gravity Evolve. And I thought to myself in the end that spec is just not for me. So that's again, that's another that plays a part into why I wanted to steer clear away from this ball. But then after what my friend Ivan told me, and that's when several months later I decided to like finally look up some other reviews on the ball. And the two videos that really pretty much sealed my decision on why I wanted to get the ball was Luis Napoles. We all know him. That guy's doing God's work with all the reviews, honestly, and he does comparisons. He does League Night videos. That dude is crazy. But yeah, I watched his review on the Sunstorm and I noticed some things and I kept in mind what my friend Ivan had told me. And again, I noticed that the ball wasn't necessarily curving a lot like the IQ Tour was. It wasn't grabbing at the lane like the IQ Tour was. And I noticed that every time his ball did hit the pocket, it hit pretty light. It didn't really continue through the pins. And then, to further add to that, I watched his comparison video on the IQ Tour with the Sunstorm, and I noticed that was when I really noticed that the IQ Tour edition with its R2S solid cover was grabbing at the lane and curving a lot better and a lot more than the Sunstorm. And that's when I had put two and two together. What my friend said about how this ball needed to be played like urethane, and then that's when that's basically when I put two and two together. And for those of you who are wondering, what do you mean play it like it's urethane? Well, for those of us who have used urethane and know it front to back, I think we all know what that means. But for those of you who are new to this stuff, what we mean is when you're playing with urethane, you can't just let the ball go through the oil and expect it to curve, because if you keep it in the oil, it's not going to move. You need to use the friction on the lane. Like if you're on a house shot, there's going to be friction on the sides of the lane. You need to use that friction on the side of the lane to get the ball to curve. So that's what I mean. So I thought, that is interesting because I've never heard of a ball that had a solid cover on it that you need to use the friction to get it to curve. All balls you need friction to get it to curve, right? But I mean like in this way, like if it were urethane, you got to get it to the friction a little earlier and on the side of the lane to be able to get it to move. That is very interesting, and that's something that I didn't know at the time. Within the first couple of weeks of this ball being released. So once I realized that was when I decided to look into spec solid reactive, and that was when my mind was blown, because this is what I saw. So here we are on the Sunstorm limited edition page, and would you believe that this ball, this shows you proof that this ball is indeed gone for good, because if you click on well, take a look, actually, let's go back a bit. You see this? This is the one that should technically lead you to the page, with the ball where you can see it and you can like turn it like 360 or whatever. That's gone. Now it just leads you to this. So that's how you know this ball is definitely gone for good. But anyway, take a look. This is what I found out, and this is where my mind was blown, and this is what I should have realized a long time ago, but I didn't. So SPEC stands for, we all know, Storm Performance Enhanced Cover Stock, yada yada. The intent behind this formula was to create something that withstands the rigors every bowling ball endures each time it takes a trip down the lane. Namely, the friction and oil it encounters. With SPEC, you can expect consistent performance that it is as tireless as it is dynamic. It's bold, definite, and extremely potent. So it was then that I realized, whoa, like basically this cover allows for you to be able to sit in your comfort zone for longer and throw. It allows for you to throw on top of friction all day long. So yeah, I'm a little embarrassed of myself for not having realized a long time ago what this spec solid reactive cover is all about. It's basically made for people who like to play straighter angles, and or is made for people who struggle to play those open angles and don't really have the revs or tilt / rotation manipulation to make those, open angles work most effective for them. So in the end, I think it's safe to say that this Sunstorm is basically like a urethane ball minus the urethane cover, and that is the greatest freaking thing ever, because for me personally, I do think about that a lot when I'm throwing a urethane ball down the lane, how much I'm messing up the lanes because we all know how a urethane cover ball can mess up the lanes in an instant, especially on those league nights, ruining it for other people and ruining it for yourself eventually. Because a urethane ball can only last for so long until, all that oil gets really pushed down the lane. But yeah, yeah, really, all that's basically what put it all together for me. What my friend Ivan said about this ball needing to be played like kind of like a urethane ball was seeing Luis Napolez's 2 videos and then reading specs, what spec solid reactive was all about. All that together led me to wanting to get this ball and to try it out. So I did, and I went all out. So you're going to see me throw some shots with the ball. You're going to see some comparisons, and of course, I'm going to do exactly what I did with the Fate last time, where I went to a different bowling center to test out this ball. So we can see just how we would do, not in one place, but in another. So that's what we're going to do, and we're going to start things off by showing you the first 2 shots that I threw with the ball, and then the next half a dozen or so. So let's get started with that and see what happened. Okay, you guys, so what you are about to see is the very first 2 shots that I threw with this ball fresh off the press. Now, I had no idea what I was getting into, so I just guessed at first, and I lined up on board 22 with this ball. And I want to talk you through this because honestly, what you're about to see, it's a little strange, and I don't know if any of you have gone through this, but just take a look. So I lined up on 22, and this is what happened. Looks good, not bad. See that? Very nice. Grabbed at the lane, curved it just fine, real smooth, real clean change of direction. A lot cleaner than the IQ Tour. All looked good, right? Well, just because I thought, no, wait a minute, if because I kept in mind this ball needed to be played like it was urethane, right? Remember I said that? So I thought, is this really how deep I need to be with this Sunstorm? So I thought, let me go for a second time just to see if this is for real or not. So I did, and here's what happened. Replicated the shot. And there it was. I thought, okay, there we go. Now that seems to make more sense to me. The ball never grabbed anything and went towards the 3-6. Look at that. So yeah, it's kind of weird that second shot is what I expected to see. That first one is the one that actually caught me off guard. So, because remember, I kept in mind what I knew about the ball and what I said and how it should have been, how I felt it should have been played. So that second shot, yeah, that's actually what I expected to see. So what you're going to see now is basically a small little montage of some of the better shots that I threw with the Sunstorm. And you're going to see the first 3 or 4 shots is me actually making adjustments because, again, now that I saw what I saw from that second shot, I thought, okay, I need to start moving to the right. I need to start, tightening that angle a little bit, and I need to find the right path. So that's what you're literally going to start seeing, and then eventually I end up finding it. So check out this montage, and you will see exactly what ended up happening. Okay, so very interesting results indeed. So as you can see, I started off on board 20 and then I went to 18, then I went to 16, and then I came to rest on board 15. And notice how with every move to the right I was making, the ball started hitting the pocket a lot harder. So that is very interesting that I came to rest upon board 15 because there's only one other ball in my arsenal that allows for me to be that far to the right, and that is the pitch black. With the pitch black, I'm actually lined up on board 15 and a half, and with the Sunstorm, I came up on 15. And that means that the Sunstorm is officially the weakest ball I have out of everything I own. Not including the urethane ball and not including the Sunstorm, the weakest balls that I had before that were the Zero Gravity and the Zen Master, both of which had me lined up on board 20. But now with the Sunstorm introducing itself, it is now the weakest ball I have, which is insane because I didn't think there would ever be another ball that isn't urethane that allows for me to play that straight. So these two bowling balls are actually neck and neck because with the pitch black, like I think I just said it, I lined up on board 15 and a half, and with the Sunstorm, I'm on 15. So that is beyond crazy that the Sunstorm is actually the weakest ball I have now. And as a matter of fact, I decided because of this, I decided to do a comparison between the pitch black and the Sunstorm. I threw 3 shots with each of them, and I was stunned by the results because actually when I did this little montage, the lane was slightly used already, which is why the ball was getting a little bit more reaction. So I waited a week and I went back and I went back a week later and I threw the Sunstorm first because obviously, you know, the pitch black would mess up the lanes and I didn't want to do that. So I played it smart and I threw the Sunstorm first on a 100% fresh house shot. And I was stunned by what I saw. Take a look at this. Holy mother of God, that is just ridiculous. So the Sunstorm on a fresh 100% lane is actually even more weaker than the pitch black. Yeah, off camera, I actually threw a couple of test shots because, you know, I was actually not fully warmed up yet. So I took a couple of practice shots with the Sunstorm before I turned on the camera. I lined up on 15 and the ball was going more towards the 3-pin. It was actually missing the pocket and I thought, what, you know? So then I thought, let me move more to the right. So I decided, you know what? I took a wild guess and I lined up on top of, I think it was 12, possibly, no, it might have been 12 and a half. I don't remember. But I lined up around there and then suddenly the ball started to curve and hit the pocket. And I thought, oh my God, this ball is way weaker than the pitch black. And that is absolutely fantastic. So yeah, that is what the Sunstorm does, and I'm kind of sad now that this ball is limited edition, and I'm even more sad that this ball is basically gone for good, you know, and uh, yeah, it just sucks that it was limited edition because I think this would have been a fantastic ball for everybody to have. I mean, the fact that you can throw it this straight and not have to worry about screwing up the lanes and not having to worry about oil getting pushed down lane because, you know, that's what urethane does, but not with this ball because it's spec solid reactive. So yeah, in the end, I'm actually really, really glad that I made the decision to get one of these because I feel it's only just a matter of time before these things become very difficult to find and become extremely expensive. Because right now you can actually still find one very easily, but the problem is that they're priced very high because they are discontinued. So the people are actually pricing them much higher than what they were when they were available. So yeah. Yikes. But yeah, I'm really glad that I made the decision to do this because this ball could be an absolute killer in League. And I imagine that it could also be good for the shorter patterns as well. And I also imagine that this ball could be good for, like, if you have that type of house shot, if your bowling center has that type of house shot, that is an absolute nightmare to bowl on. And it's just terrible, or if it's like really short and your stuff is hooking out of the building, this ball would definitely be perfect for you. So anyway, the next thing that I want to do now is, this is kind of unnecessary, but I'm going to do it anyway just to, you know, show you guys what it's like. I'm going to bring out the only other ball that I have that has the spec solid reactive cover, and that is the Pro Motion. I don't have the Crux Prime and I don't have the Gravity Evolve or any other ball that had the spec solid reactive cover. I believe there was one other overseas ball that had this cover, but that doesn't, I don't do overseas stuff. It's unnecessary. But yeah, I have the Pro Motion. It's the only other ball that I have that has spec solid reactive cover on it. And it's obvious to me and it's obvious to you what's going to happen. But like I said, I want to do it anyway just for you guys. Why not go all out, right? So I'm going to show you, despite the fact that these bowling balls have the same covers, this is definitely going to show why having different weight blocks and having different finishes is going to make the difference. Because keep in mind, the piston core is what's inside the Pro Motion, and also it comes in at 3000 grit Abralon, while the Sunstorm has the centripetal core and comes in at 4K fast. And actually, I changed the finish on the Pro Motion from 3000 grit Abralon to 2000 grit Abralon to get it to grab a little better so that I can match up with it better. So that's what you guys are going to see. So take a look at this. Okay, so there you have that, the Pro Motion and the Sunstorm. Very obvious difference. The Pro Motion being a lot earlier and way more angular, and actually the continuation is off the charts on that Pro Motion. And that makes sense because, you know, I loved that reaction on the Pro Motion, to be totally honest, because it almost looks like some sort of like magnetic pull that it has when it goes towards the pins after it curves. And again, it makes sense why that happens, because that piston core, I remember hearing Belmo talking about it, and when you get that piston core turning end over end, you know, the way the weight blocks look, getting those things on the ends of them to turn end over end, they're actually forcing each other over, and that is what's creating that what looks like magnetic pull, but that's actually strong continuation on the pro motion is what that is. So yeah, and then the Sunstorm being later, way smoother and a lot weaker, and this actually shows perfectly how much weaker the centripetal core is in comparison. So that's actually pretty cool. And I know that the other thing that I could have done was probably change the finish on the Sunstorm for the like from 4K fast to 2000 just to have the same finishes. But I didn't want to do that because, you know, the Sunstorm, I like it just the way it is, being able to play that straight. The last thing I need is for the ball to be able to grab earlier and to hook more. You know, for me, I look at this as if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Okay, the next thing that I want to show you is something quite strange, but what I want to do here is I want to prove that the bowling ball is not broken, it's not me, and it's not the lanes. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you the pro motion played from board 15 where I stand with the Sunstorm and vice versa. The Sunstorm on board 22 like I did with those first two shots to show you that the Sunstorm is not broken, it's not me, and it's not the lanes. So take a look at this. Okay, so I think that proves right there that the way I am playing this Sunstorm, that is the way it is meant to be played, especially with what I just showed you. It's meant to be from the right side of the lane, and you need to use that friction to get the ball to curve, and if you keep it in the oil, it won't move, and that's exactly what a urethane ball needs to be like, except that this isn't a urethane ball, it's a solid cover ball. So that is really, really crazy. And now the next thing that I want to do, and I'm telling you, we're going all out here. The next thing that I want to do is I'm taking a page out of the ball review that I did with the Fate, and we are taking this bowling ball to a different bowling center, and we're going to that same center that I took the Fate, where their house shot is a lot more challenging. It's a lot shorter, a lot more friction, so we're going to see just how this ball is able to handle such conditions, and I'm really hoping for the best here because if I didn't say this before in that last video, my biggest gripe with this bowling center is their house shot being what it is. Too much friction, it's short, and even with my weaker stuff, I have to start so far to the left, even when the shot is fresh, and that I hate. Like even with my Hustle wrap, being that it has a high RG and low differential, and even with my Fate, you guys saw that video. If any of you didn't, you should definitely check it out. A really good video. Yeah, even with the Fate, I still have to line up on board 30. That is too far left to begin with. And then with the Hustle wrap, I have to be on 25. Again, that is far too left to begin with. So I'm really hoping for the best with this Sunstorm, being that it is this week. So let's take a look and see what happened. Okay, it's official. I love this ball. The fact that all I had to do was get as far as only board 20, that is so perfect because that was my fear, that I would have to go beyond board 20 to be able to get this ball to work. But no, board 20, that is just fine for me because that is... I don't want to say like my benchmark area. My benchmark area, because with most of the stuff that I have, is like around 22 and 23. So I would say that board 20 is probably like my second benchmark area, because I do have a couple of bowling balls that I do line up with from that spot. And that is the Zen Master, the Zero Gravity, the Hustle Wrap, sort of, and the 900 Global Flux. Not in this secondary center that I went to, but in the first one that I like to go to. That is like my secondary benchmark area. So the fact that that's as far as I have to be with the Sunstorm, that is so good, thank Christ. But I don't see myself throwing it in this place, because I have that lingering fear of my bowling ball getting scratched up or getting a gouge in it, because this place I have seen several times that it has happened to people where they end up with really ugly scratches on their bowling balls, chips, or cracks or whatever. Well, not cracks, but I have seen some gouges. I have seen some scratches. In fact, in that video that you guys saw me throwing that Sunstorm in this different place, there were like, I threw the ball off camera and it came back through the ball return, and I thought that it had a gouge in it, but luckily it was just the belt marks from the ball return that made the ball super dirty. And I was like, oh, thank God. It was able to come off after I like put some of the spray stuff on it, and I took it off. But yeah, after that, I thought to myself, no, I don't think I want to throw the Sunstorm here anymore, because this is an expensive ball. It's the only one I've got, and I do not want it to get ruined. So but yeah, it's good to know that this ball can clearly handle a house shot with more friction on it and a much shorter pattern as well. So this ball is fantastic, and if you don't have one, I think you should get one, because clearly it is worth the money. I know it is expensive, but like I said, worth the money indeed. So anyway, that is my take on the Sunstorm. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Went all out here, and yeah, that is all I have. I don't know what's next, but yeah, you guys probably have noticed I've been posting kind of a lot of shorts just to keep the channel, from going totally dead. And yeah, I don't really know what's next. I don't know if I'll do another ball review because, I'm not really interested in the Summit or any of the other new stuff that's coming. So yeah, I'm sorry, but yeah, I'm not really feeling it. So anyway, I'm Frank the Tank. That was the Sunstorm. Hope you all enjoyed, and I will catch you in something else. I don't know where it is, but we'll see. Peace.